Good afternoon, everyone. Really a pleasure and honor to be here. And I will tell you, I have so much admiration, appreciation, and respect for this Brain Institute and for Larry Ruvo. I mean, this, for me, and as Dr. Sabah talked about, I want this to be the finest brain institute in the world. And I want to publicly thank the Institute. My father was diagnosed with severe Parkinson's several years ago, and a lot of the recommendations and research that has come out of here has truly benefited him. I also want to compliment, I wish Larry Ruvo and Camille were here as well. And it always takes someone, it takes a leader, it takes somebody with passion, it takes somebody with drive, somebody who will never give up in order to develop something like this. And without them, we wouldn't be sitting or standing here today. So I'm really appreciative of that. You know, I'm going to build a little bit off what Dr. Sabah had said, because not only do I'm really competitive, unless people didn't know this, but I think all of you in sports can appreciate that. But I do want Las Vegas to be the brain research center of the world, but along with that, and these two do complement one another, that this should be, and Lawrence and I were talking about this, the sports capital of the world. As was mentioned, we now have the Knights, we have the Light, we have the Aces, we will have the Raiders, which we're looking forward to in a couple years. We have the UFC with some of the greatest, if not the greatest UFC events of all time. We have boxing, and everyone has always known that boxing has been at the center, or Las Vegas has been at the center of some of the greatest fights of all time as well. We have the Bull Riders here as well, and excited about that. They start their event on Wednesday, so that's another piece. I mean, I was thinking about it as I sat there with my wonderful wife, the First Lady, Laurelyn Sandoval, who's with us today. Where else, not only in the U.S., but in the world, would you have a collection of people like this? And I also, didn't want to leave out UNLV and the Runnin' Rebels and their athletic programs as well. That's truly an important piece of all this. So, a big piece of this is Las Vegas is indeed the entertainment capital of the world. People come from all over the world to attend events and see events. I was mentioning I'm a proud graduate of the Ohio State University Law School, and spoke there on Friday to several different groups. But on the airplane, it's always fun to see people who are on their way to Las Vegas and see how excited they are. And Laurelyn was accompanying me, of course. But even the flight attendants were excited and running cheers. But everybody loves coming here. And now there's another reason, or there are several reasons to come here, because of the sports teams. Now, some of you may or may not know that I did sign an executive order which established the Southern Nevada Sporting Event Committee not too long ago. The purpose of the committee is to identify even more professional sporting events and associated activities to hold right here in Southern Nevada. For example, we'd love to have the Super Bowl, wouldn't we? We'd love to have, perhaps we've looked at the World Cup. We already perhaps having NCAA events as well, but having the stadium will bring us to that next level where we can host a big time bowl game. Not to say that the Las Vegas Bowl isn't big time already, but even elevate that even more. That committee has met several times. At the end of the year, it's going to submit its final report to me as well as the legislature with its recommendation. So with that said, we all know with all these literally 42+ million people a year that come to Las Vegas that we must consider the safety and security of our visitors. I chair the Homeland Security Commission for the state of Nevada, and we are constantly looking at additional safety and security options, as well as reviewing our current procedures. Las Vegas obviously is known as a first-class, world-class destination, and again, not on my watch or anybody else's watch will we ever relinquish that title. But we also have to remain extremely vigilant when it comes to securing the events and those who visit here. So that's not why we're here today. The safety and security of the fans obviously is a priority, but that's not the only safety and security that our state is concerned with. Because of the work that all of you do and your colleagues are doing on safety and security issues in professional sports, Nevada is proud to say that we are at the forefront of brain health issues for professional sports players. As I mentioned, based right here in Las Vegas, with additional locations in Ohio and Florida, the Cleveland Clinic Lou Ruvo Center for Brain Health is the largest network of memory disorder physicians in the world. And we all watched that video, and it certainly was incredibly impressive. The clinic is a multidisciplinary clinic for comprehensive diagnosis, clinical care, and research of neurological and neurodegenerative disease. The Lou Ruvo Center for Brain Health includes specialists in neurology, psychiatry, geriatric psychiatry, and geriatrics with a clinical focus in cognitive and movement disorders, as well as multiple sclerosis. And as part of the robust clinical trials and research program right here, the Professional Fighters Brain Health Study was initiated in 2011 to examine the cumulative effects of repetitive, concussive, and subconcussive injuries to the brain in a group of professional combatants from both boxing and mixed martial arts. Now, the goals of this professional fighter study include detecting the earliest and most subtle signs of brain injury in those exposed to head trauma using MRI imaging techniques and other clinical measures, determining what risk factors make an individual exposed to head trauma more likely to develop chronic neurological disorders, identifying those individuals by tracking brain function over a period of time who are progressing toward developing long-term neurological diseases such as chronic traumatic Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease, and providing information to guide athletes and empower them to make informed decisions for fighters in the study, for those fighters that they receive free. Ongoing assessments of their brain health and function, including MRI scans, computerized testing of cognitive function, speech sample, blood sample for genetic and protein testing, questionnaires regarding mood, impulsivity, and sleep, and neurological examination, including balance testing. Now, while many of these studies focus on the acute effects of concussion and issues related to return to play, the PFBHS is aimed at understanding the long-term effects of repetitive head trauma, including means to detect accumulating brain injury early and factors that put certain individuals at higher risk of developing chronic traumatic brain injury. The study is also unique in that there are currently more than 800 participants. I mean, I think that is incredibly impressive, involved in the inclusion of both retired fighters and active fighters to allow for the study of the entire spectrum of repetitive head trauma. The longer the participants are followed, the more valuable information will be amassed. But however, even in the short period the study has been underway, several findings stand out. I'd like to highlight two of those. Changes in certain areas of the brain can be detected by MRI methods even within a year in some individuals who are actively competing, and the changes seem to correlate with greater exposure to head trauma with decline in performance on tests of processing speed. A fight exposure score, which factors in age, number of professional fights, and fights per year, can provide a rough estimate of a fighter's risk of performing lower on certain cognitive tests. So as a result of the growing research and success of the PFBHS, this organization, the Professional Sports Brain Health Coalition, an organization of like-minded leaders in professional sports in Southern Nevada dedicated to advancing brain health safety, was formed just last year. This coalition is the first of its kind in the country. Now think about that. The first of its kind in the country to gather stakeholders in the field of sports health to promote safety through education, research, and advocacy. I really want to applaud all of you for your forward thinking. And, frankly, it makes you wonder why it wasn't done sooner, but it does make me very proud that we're doing it right here in Las Vegas. Now, 2 weeks ago today, I had the privilege of touring the UFC facilities along with Laurelyn. And that state-of-the-art facility is amazing. Frankly, it's just overwhelming. Not only for its footprint in Southern Nevada and its openness to other elite professional athletes, but because the UFC is committed to the safety and security of its fighters. Now, I was asking Lawrence if Forrest Griffin was going to be here, and he was a former fighter who toured us around the facility, but he toured Laurelyn and I through the UFC Performance Institute, and let me tell you, the amount of information Forrest had and offered to us was amazing, just amazing. Forrest had clearly taken the time and made the effort to completely, comprehensively, and totally understand how training affects the bodies of professional athletes and how the results of any number of tests that can be run at the UFC facilities can help athletes perform better. Forrest also pointed out that these tests can help inform fighters, their coaches, and their teams about their brain health. So not only are we going to study after, but also before. So it's my understanding also that UFC works with other professional leagues to share information because the number one goal is the health and safety of fighters and athletes. And as Forrest said, if we can find out early, we can help counsel fighters out of the sport, and in my words, possibly save lives. The UFC is clearly not the only professional sport that can utilize the information that this coalition is putting together. Also in the audience today is the head therapist for Michael Jackson's One Cirque du Soleil show. Where are you, by the way? There you are. Thank you for being here, and I would love to have a chat with you after this. But when you think of acrobatics and the other intricate moves that Cirque performers do nightly on the Strip, it stands to reason that they too can benefit from the information put together by this coalition. And indeed, and I know we have the Raiders here with us because I see that lapel pin, but when they begin playing here in just a few short years, the information that the coalition has put together by then will be invaluable to your team as well. For the professional bull riders, in that big event, as I mentioned, that's coming up, who come to Las Vegas annually, the information and resources available from this coalition and the Center for Brain Health can, I'm sure, help riders more fully understand the impact that riding can have on their lives. The Nevada Athletic Commission, and Bob Bennett is with us today, who does an amazing job. We were just talking privately, but I will say it publicly, Bob, you do an extraordinary job for our state, you and everyone there. Please give him a big hand for what he does. But there's another clearinghouse. The information and statistics that this coalition has and will continue to compile can help inform decisions on when to offer a professional athlete help or testing or even just the resource to understand how the athlete's professional sports experiences affect them. So you see, for me, it's all about working together. And by the sheer information that this coalition will gather, I can see that we're going to really establish, I think, an example for the rest of the world. It's the rising tide that lifts all the boats. And it's the sharing of information and resources that will continue to build not only on the professional sporting community of Southern Nevada, but the professional sporting community of the United States and the world. So, I'm coming to the end of my term, and I have a little bit more than 2 months to go, and I said as well, I'm really glad I'm not on the ballot tomorrow, but there's a big election tomorrow, and it has been an honor and a privilege to serve in this capacity and serve the people of the great state of Nevada, and to be able to go to work every day and try to make a difference. And this is a piece of that, to be able to gather some of the best minds in the world when it comes to medicine and when it comes to sports. because there are very young men and women who are impressed and look to come and be the next big thing in bull riding and in football and hockey, cirque, all the things that I've mentioned before, basketball, soccer. And now we have a rare opportunity to, as I said, really marry this Brain Institute along with the athletes to be able to inform them, whether they're in grade school, high school, college, or professional sports, and inform their parents, inform their families, inform their friends, and protect them and give them the best possible care and the best information so that they can move forward with their lives and not find out 20 years from now that they could have done something. Now they can know. So I think that you really are going to save lives and change lives based on what you're doing. Laurelyn has heard me say this all the time, that when you're in the middle of history, you don't realize that you're making it. And people are going to look back at this coalition and really be thankful for what you've accomplished. So it really is a privilege and honor for me to join all of you. It makes me proud as a governor, and more importantly as a Nevadan, that we're doing it right here in Las Vegas. I personally want to thank each and every one of you for your participation and your contributions. I can't wait to see what you all do next. So God bless all of you, and God bless the great state of Nevada. Thank you.